ever rock a spiral perm back in the
Oh,
80s.
you mean like big hair, lots of volume.
Exactly, that's the one.
Yeah, how could I forget? Some of us actually lived through those times.
Well, get this, that hairstyle, as iconic as it was, it's got a surprisingly long history.
Really?
Yeah, we're talking way back, early 1900s, thanks to a German immigrant named Charles Nestler.
Hmm.
And that's who we're diving into today, using this really fascinating podcast episode from the 1980s as our guide.
It's incredible, isn't it? Just how innovations, even something like a hairstyle, can have these deep roots, these unexpected connections to history.
You hit the nail on the head. And that's exactly what we're going to uncover today, how Nestler's invention, this permanent wave, it didn't just change hairstyles,
Hmm.
it completely transformed the beauty industry and kind of reflects these broader social shifts too.
It's a story full of surprises.
Oh, absolutely. Surprising twists and turns,
Yeah.
from humble beginnings to rubbing shoulders with royalty and even some eyebrow-raising theories along the way.
Definitely some of those.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Who was this Charles Nestler? What sparked his obsession with hair?
All right, so picture this. You got a young boy growing up in Germany's Black Forest, and he's fascinated by the variety of hair textures just within his own family.
Oh, interesting.
You know, some straight hair, some curly. His dad was even bald.
Wow.
And it's this early exposure, this variety that kind of sparked a curiosity in him that shaped his entire life.
So the family was like his first laboratory, so to speak. Did this fascination lead him straight to hairstyling?
Not exactly. He actually spent some time as a shepherd,
Okay.
which, believe it or not, it actually fueled his hair obsession even more.
Really?
Yeah. You see, he observed that sheep's wool was always curly, unlike human hair, which you could only curl temporarily, right?
Yeah.
And it got him thinking, could there be a way to make those curls in human hair last?
So the sheep were his muse. I love it. But how did he go from herding sheep to the world of hairstyling?
Well, he eventually apprenticed with barbers across Europe, learning the tricks of the trade, even picking up some barber surgeon skills along the way.
Wait. Barber surgeon skills. What does that even mean?
Well, back then, barbers, they did it all. Minor surgeries, tooth extractions, you name it.
Wow, talk about a full-service salon.
Right. It was a different time. But through it all, through all these different jobs and experiences, his interest in hair never wavered. He even started using the name Nessel with an E instead of an A
Uh,
to sound more French and blend in better in Switzerland.
so clever marketing even back then.
You got it. Always thinking ahead, this guy.
So he honed his skills. He traveled Europe. What's next for our aspiring hair revolutionary?
London, late 1800s. He was now Charles, not Carl, and ready to make his mark. He even dabbled in inventing false eyelashes.
False eyelashes. That's amazing. Always the innovator.
He was, but his real breakthrough was still yet to come.
Okay. Let's get to the main event. The perm. The perm. How did this contraption? How did this idea even come about?
So picture this. It's 1906. He's got an audience of European hairstylists all eagerly watching as his wife, Katerina, is patiently sitting under this strange device.
His poor wife. That must have taken so much trust.
I know, right?
What did this invention even look like?
Oh, it was something to behold. It was bronze curlers heated by either gas or electricity, and this special alkali solution that he essentially baked into the hair.
Wow.
Early models, they even used gas, wires hanging everywhere, connecting to each and every curler.
It sounds a little intimidating, honest.
Oh, it was. It definitely was.
So was this it? Was this the birth of the perm as we know it?
It was. It absolutely was. But the hairstyling elite, the top stylists, they weren't exactly impressed. Skeptical, to say the least.
Well, I can imagine. It was a completely new concept and probably looked a little scary. Did that deter him? Did that stop him?
Oh, not at all. Charles was convinced he had something truly special, but convincing people to try this newfangled perm, it wasn't easy.
I mean, this was the early 20th century.
Right.
Long flowing hair was in fashion. The thought of chemically treating it, that was radical.
Radical, yeah. Even frightening for some.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, this is a time when people were asking if X-rays could give them curly hair.
Exactly. It was a wild time for beauty experimentation.
It really was.
But, Charles, he was a master marketer. He promised these soft, wavy tresses, not, frouses or flutes like some of the other methods at the time.
Oh, wow.
And he even had to convince people that permanent, the word permanent didn't mean their hair would stay curly forever.
I bet that caused some confusion.
Yeah.
So how did he finally win over the public? Did he have a secret weapon, a marketing strategy?
Well, word of mouth played a big role. Plus, he was becoming a bit of a celebrity stylist.
Oh, really?
He even styled the hair of European royalty.
Wow, royalty. That must have given him some serious street cred. But then World War I happened, right?
Yeah.
I imagine that threw a wrench in his plan.
It did. His clientele dwindled, and he was, possibly facing wartime prejudice because of his German heritage.
Oh, wow.
So he decides on a bold move, New York City in 1915, armed with $1,000 and his trusty patents.
The American Dream Perm Edition. So how did his American captor unfold?
Well, he sets up shop on West 46th Street, even takes out an ad in the New York Times, and is met with crickets.
Oh, no. From royalty to an empty salon, that's got to be tough.
He was devastated. It seemed, New Yorkers, they were just as wary of this invention as the Londoners. So he gets creative. He asks a former London client who happened to be in town for a free perm in exchange for being his live advertisement.
Brilliant. A walking, talking testimonial.
Yeah.
Did it work?
Oh, like a charm. Word spread, crowds grew, and so did his clientele. Soon, he had 100 employees and a salon on Fifth Avenue,
Wow.
catering to the city's elite.
What a comeback story. And I bet those perms weren't cheap.
No, they weren't. He was charging a pretty penny. $120 per perm.
Wow.
That's like $3,000 today.
Goodness.
But people, they were willing to pay for the transformative power of the Nestler curl.
Beauty has its price, I guess, but it sounds like he was more than just a savvy businessman.
You're right. He was known as Father Nestle to his employees.
Wow.
Threw lavish company picnics, gave generous holiday bonuses, and he even served his clients sandwiches while they were getting permed.
That's a detail you don't hear every day.
Yeah.
It sounds like he truly cared for his staff and clients. Okay, so business is booming. He is a celebrity stylist. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, remember that book he published, The Story of Hair?
Uh-huh.
Let's just say it wasn't exactly a scientific masterpiece.
Here we go. You mentioned some eyebrow-raising theories earlier.
Let's just say some of his ideas were a product of his time.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued.
Yeah.
But before we dive into that, let's talk about the perm's impact. I mean, his invention didn't just change hairstyles; it created an entire industry.
Absolutely, it did. The perm craze, it swept the nation, leading to knockoffs, the evolution of the cold wave, and even a backlash against home perms. It's really a fascinating ripple effect. This one invention, it really is, yeah. But before we get to all of that, before we get to the ripple effects, I think it's worth noting that, the perm, with its high cost and that really complex process, it really elevated the status of hairstyling. Like it went from a trade to a specialized profession.
That's a great point. It wasn't just, a quick trim anymore, right?
Yeah.
It was a whole experience, a transformation.
Exactly. Women were spending hours in salons, and it became a social space, a place to connect and share stories. And as perms gained popularity, the demand for skilled stylists just skyrocketed. It created tons of new jobs.
So one man's invention sparks an economic boom in the beauty industry. That's incredible.
It really is. And it didn't stop there. The rise of the perm, it really paved the way for other beauty treatments to kind of flourish too. Massages, manicures, pedicures, even those false eyelashes that he was so fond of.
It was like the perm, it opened the door to a whole new world of beauty possibilities.
Exactly. But of course, with success comes competition, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Nestler, he faced legal battles with companies trying to copy his invention.
I bet.
Ironically, one of those competitors, the Lemur Company, they ended up buying him out.
Really?
Yeah.
$1 million buyout. That's quite a turnaround from those early days in New York.
It was. But then the stock market crashed in 1929.
Oh.
And like many others, he lost a significant portion of his fortune.
So much for the easy retirement.
Yeah, exactly. But he didn't let that stop him. He went back to inventing, hoping to, regain his financial stability. He developed a massaging machine that promised youthful skin, a baldness remedy, even a treatment to add curls to babies' hair.
A baby perm. That's something else. But I guess it fits with his lifelong fascination with curls.
It does, and those inventions, they didn't really take off, but his legacy, it was already secure. You know, the perm had become a cultural phenomenon, even as new variations emerged, like the cold wave. Its popularity just continued to
The
soar.
cold wave. No more boiling your hair. That must have been a relief for everyone involved.
Yeah, it really was a game changer, and with it came the home perm kit,
Oh, the home perm kit.
which as you can imagine cost quite a stir.
Oh, I can only imagine the results of some of those home perms. Probably a lot of frizz disasters.
There were definitely some mishaps. Salon owners, they weren't happy. Some even tried to get home perms banned, claiming they were dangerous.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it's like the beauty industry's version of disrupting the market.
Exactly. But, the genie was out of the bottle. Home perms, for better or worse, they became a part of the beauty landscape.
Yeah, and those DIY disasters probably sent a lot of people running back to the salons for damage control. I mean, the beauty industry, it always finds a way.
It's true, it does. But beyond the economic impact, the perm also had this significant social impact too. It helped to redefine beauty standards, and for many women, it was a symbol of liberation and self-expression.
It's amazing how a hairstyle can carry so much cultural weight.
It really is. And while Nestler's story, it's full of these twists and turns, and as we've hinted at, some questionable opinions, there's no denying the impact that he had on the world of beauty. He died in 1951.
Oh, wow.
But the year before he died, a staggering 68 million people in the U.S. got perms.
68 million. That's
Huh.
incredible.
His invention truly changed the world.
That's mind-blowing. Okay. We've danced around his interesting theories, his questionable opinions long enough.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that book of his, The Story of Hair.
Yeah.
You mentioned a character named Gonad earlier.
Oh yeah, gonad. That's just the beginning. Remember, Nestler, he fancied himself a scientist and a psychologist.
Uh,
He claimed to have studied, people from all walks of life, believing that he could connect their hair to their personalities, their health, even their morals.
it sounds like a mix of genuine observation and some pretty wild speculation.
That's a good way to put it. For example, he believed that weak hair indicated obesity and a lack of ambition. He even suggested that women with certain hair types were more likely to, and I'm quoting here, trick men into marriage.
Wait, what? Trick men into marriage. That's a new one. What was his reasoning there?
It's honestly a bit convoluted. He seemed to believe that women with thicker, coarser hair were somehow more deceptive,
Oh.
and he tied this to his ideas about evolution and survival of the fittest. It's all very tangled and frankly pretty offensive by today's standards.
It sounds like he was projecting a lot of his own biases onto his so-called scientific observations.
You could say that, and unfortunately, it gets worse. He also made some pretty outrageous claims about different races and cultures, perpetuating these harmful stereotypes that were sadly all too common in his time.
It's a reminder that even brilliant minds can be products of their time.
Mm.
They can hold views that are now considered, well, unacceptable.
Absolutely, it's important to acknowledge those flaws while also appreciating the historical context. But getting back to the book, there's a whole chapter on child rearing that's particularly strange.
Oh, really?
He compares raising a child to operating a machine.
A machine. That's a bit dehumanizing, to say the least.
Right, and he even refers to the child as the machine throughout the chapter, giving instructions on how to maintain and optimize their development.
It's almost comical in a dark sort of way. I can't imagine a parenting book today using that language.
Yeah, it wouldn't go over well, that's for sure. But for all his strange ideas, Nestler, he did have some genuinely insightful observations about hair. He was a pioneer in classifying hair by its porosity. He even developed a system called the taxometer to categorize different hair types.
So there's a glimmer of scientific thinking amidst the more outlandish theories.
Yeah.
It seems like he truly wanted to understand the science of hair, even if his interpretation sometimes went one astray.
Exactly. And his work, flaws and all, it did help lay the groundwork for the modern hair care industry. He emphasized understanding these different hair textures and developing treatments tailored to specific needs.
It's a complex legacy, to say the least, a brilliant innovator with some very questionable views.
It's true. And his story, it really highlights how innovations, even ones that seem superficial, like the perm, can be intertwined with these larger social and economic shifts.
Well said. It makes you appreciate how far we've come in understanding hair science and embracing the beauty of all hair types.
And on that note, if you're interested in exploring, the evolution of beauty standards or the fascinating history behind other everyday inventions, be sure to subscribe for more deep dives. We're always uncovering these unexpected stories behind the things that we take for granted.
Until next time, keep those curls bouncy and those minds curious.
Mm.
It really is fascinating to see how even an invention that seems so simple, like the perm, can be tied to these really complex social and scientific theories.
It's true. I mean, Nestler's story really, really underscores that point. It's a reminder that innovation, it isn't always a straightforward path. It's often messy. It often reflects the prevailing beliefs, the biases of the time.
Definitely. It makes you think about the assumptions and the biases that might be hidden within the innovations we see today.
Yeah, that's a really important point. We should always be striving to be aware of the context surrounding, any invention, any discovery.
Absolutely. Well, this deep dive into the world of Charles Nestler and the permanent wave has been, well, quite a journey.
It really has, from humble beginnings to international fame. From I couldn't agree more. It's a reminder that we should always be questioning, always be learning, and always be evolving.
On that note, if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, we encourage you to subscribe for more. We're always exploring the fascinating and often unexpected stories behind the things we take for granted.
Yeah, from everyday objects to cultural trends, we're here to help you uncover those hidden connections and the deeper meanings that shape our world.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and stay tuned for more deep dives.